Coming up on the AFN Evening News.
The Sergeant Major of the Army talks about the automatic promotions, what it can mean to you or your soldiers. Plus,
they understand this whole process of having mommy and daddy away.
It's good to have someone there for you who's been right where you are and can help you get through it. And an invitation went out and the musicians came in. We'll take you to a concert that's full of youth.
The AFN Evening News. Real news for real people.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Specialist Eleazar Craig. The first Medal of Honor from operations in Iraq will be presented today. More on that in a moment, but first in our top story, Catholics around the world are mourning the loss of one of the most energetic religious leaders in modern times. AFN correspondent Kane Fairbaugh had a chance to report on a papal audience in Vatican City and has more now on the Roman Pontiff's legacy.
His given name was Karol Wojtyła, but we've come to know this Polish priest as Pope John Paul II, the first non-Italian pope in more than 400 years. Over the weekend, the Roman pontiff succumbed to heart failure as a result of several illnesses which hospitalized him in recent months. He was known around the world as the Cold War Pope, born and raised in Poland and lived as a man of the cloth under communist rule of that country for almost 50 years. He's credited with helping bring an end to communism in Eastern Europe, especially in his home country. He survived an assassination attempt and became the most traveled pope in the history of the Catholic Church. We visited the revered leader in 2003 during one of his many papal audiences in St. Peter's Square. As part of an exclusive Destinations profile inside Vatican City, we participated in the Pope's Mass and visited with members of his staff, including an American Archbishop, who explained the importance of the Pope to the modern world.
Well, of course, people are thrilled to see the Pope. He's a unique figure in the world, a great moral leader, a man of great compassion, of great goodness. So I think people feel attracted by that, and they want to be near him, to see him. And they've seen him on television, they've heard him on the radio, and they've seen him in photographs and newspapers, and they want to see the man himself and hear his message. And fortunately for the Catholic Church, he's a man who can speak in quite a few languages. I personally have heard him carry on conversations in 13 languages, but it's a privilege, of course, to work with the Holy Father, because what you see is what you get. A man who is very intelligent, very concerned, and a man of deep prayer.
Pope John Paul II, whose 26-year reign is one of the longest in the history of the papacy, was 84 years old. His body will lie in state this week in St. Peter's Basilica, where Italian authorities estimate more than 2 million people will visit the Roman pontiff. Catholic cardinals from around the world will meet in Vatican City in the next 20 days to make a decision that will come only once in a lifetime for many of them, the election of a new pope. In Mannheim, Germany, Kane Fairbaugh, AFN News.
Thanks, Kane. Rome already has some measures in place, but officials are preparing for large crowds traveling to see Pope John Paul II's body. Officials are setting up camps outside the city for millions of pilgrims. The College of Cardinals will meet to read Pope John Paul's final instructions, including his choice of burial place, and they will also select a funeral date. What does the Army do when leaders want to promote E4s to E5, but there are not enough soldiers on the promotion standing list? This problem has challenged the Army for years. The career field that experienced this shortage, about 25 of them, are called Star MOSs. AFN got a chance to speak with the Sergeant Major of the Army, Kenneth Preston, about a new policy he initiated to tackle the problem.
Then what we do is we want to identify our best qualified, best deserving soldiers to promote. And we've done that by identifying those that have 4 years time in service with 1 year time in grade. And those really are, if you look across all the different career fields out there, 90% of those soldiers have already re-enlisted to stay in the Army. And so we re-enlist our best soldiers to keep them in the Army. And those now with 4 years time in service with a year time in grade are our best qualified, best experienced soldiers that we need to move up and promote to sergeant. The policy still allows the chain of command out there to be involved to really identify those that should not be promoted, but the intent is to promote as many as we can to fill those vacancies out there, especially the Star MOSs.
The Sergeant Major of the Army said he hopes this policy change will cause leaders to take a more serious and active role in helping getting good eligible E4s to the promotion board at about a 3-year mark. In our look at the war on terror, a Marine is dead after an explosion in central city of Haditha. Nearly 50 U.S. service members are recovering from injuries after an attack at Abu Ghraib prison in Baghdad. Militants used a car bomb, gunfire, mortars, and rocket-propelled grenades in their failed attempt to enter the prison. In addition to the injured troops, some 13 prisoners and nearly 50 of the insurgents were wounded as well. An internet statement by Al-Qaeda in Iraq claimed responsibility, but the claim could not be independently verified. And a cutting through stalemate and ethnic barriers, Iraq's parliament finally selected a speaker today. Selection of a new government was held up for more than 2 months after the country's elections. Being prepared for any situation in a combat zone is critical for soldiers in Iraq. That's why troops are helping train the 41st Iraqi National Brigade in soldiering skills. Specialist Adams Toomer introduces us to a couple of soldiers from the 1st Battalion who are helping prepare the Iraqi Brigade for duty.
The beginning of a free and stable Iraq rests in the hands of a few soldiers from the 1st Battalion Headquarters and Headquarters Company. They have a unique relationship with the 41st Iraqi Army Brigade that will eventually pave the way for a more secure future in Iraq.
Our mission is to train these guys here to become, National Guard for their country, so that way they can go out in sector and replace our guys and start taking over their country again.
Sergeant First Class Gary Powell is one of the soldiers that trained the 41st. He advises the Iraqi First Sergeant on his duties, but also gives the Iraqi soldiers pointers on other military actions. Sergeant Powell takes pride in his job and likes the fact it works as a way for him to give thanks for the training he's received.
To give back something that was given to me, I like to see a soldier grow, whether it's an American soldier or whether it's an Iraqi soldier, I like to see a soldier grow and learn to do better.
They want to learn. And right now it seems like the stuff that Sergeant Powell and I and the other instructors, teach them, it feels like they're a sponge. I mean, they absorb everything we can teach them.
Because Sergeant Powell works for the present but thinks of the future, he has a clear vision of the benefit in training the Iraqi Army.
Anything that I can teach them that may save their lives, and one of these days, we have to go out on missions with them. And the more they know, the more I teach them, the better off they're going to be on saving lives, and the better off I'm going to be. We have, and it's working together, and we save each other lives.
I got a lot of respect for these guys because they're going from being scared out in there and coming here and putting on a uniform and actually doing something for their country. I think is great respect for the people.
The 41st Iraqi Army Brigade is scheduled to start taking over posts as early as next month. I'm Specialist Adams Toomer, AFN News, Baghdad.
President Bush will award the first Medal of Honor from action in Iraq today. It will be awarded to Sergeant First Class Paul Smith, who is credited with saving dozens of his soldiers before he was killed in the battle for control of the Baghdad International Airport. Meanwhile, the First Lady Laura Bush dropped in to visit the troops serving in Afghanistan. And as Army Private Ernest Henry explains, she also met with some of the country's leadership during her trip.
First Lady Laura Bush stopped in Afghanistan as part of International Women's Month. After a brief introduction to the coalition forces commanders, the First Lady quickly boarded a CH-47 Chinook helicopter, which took her to her first stop of the tour, the Afghan Women's Teachers Training Institute. While at the institute, Mrs. Bush was greeted by the newest teachers in training, held a question and answer session with the country's hierarchy of education, and spoke in a press conference and discussed the U.S.'s future plans for Afghanistan. And to finish off the tour, the First Lady returned to Bagram to address the troops and spend a little time with the service members making a difference in the global war on terrorism.
The President and I appreciate every chance we get to be with the men and women who serve on the front lines. Thank you for the sacrifice you make, for every hardship you endure, to help freedom prevail in the war on terror. I look forward to getting home and telling the President that America is safer because the men and women of Bagram Air Base are on duty.
Reporting from Bagram Airfield, I'm Army Private Ernest Henry, AFN News.
After the visit, Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai said the First Lady's visit to Afghanistan and her time encouraging the Afghan women in person was worth more than any amount of monetary aid. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll hear a dietitian's thoughts on some of the blame for overweight kids. The fight against obesity in today's youth.
It's not just the kids. It's America is getting huge.
We'll take a look at a program to help get kids in shape without the embarrassment. That's coming up right after these messages.
I'm a longtime customer of the Army and Air Force Exchange Service and a member of the AFE's Board of Directors. One of AFE's toughest yet most rewarding missions is to serve soldiers and airmen who are deployed in support of contingency operations throughout the world. Currently, AFE's operates numerous exchanges within the OEF-OIF theater. In addition to these direct operations, more than 80 AFE's unit-run activities operate within Iraq. These stores are located at remote locations where no exchanges are available. AFE's also supports numerous rodeo operations to remote locations in an effort to reach out to as many troops as possible. This allows soldiers and airmen who normally would not have access to a store the opportunity to enjoy a little piece of home. AFE's truly does go where you go.
Out of the last 2 years, been deployed for about 18 months, so really looking forward to getting there.
There's a BX and there's a cafeteria where they can have something to eat.
Here at the airport, I'm gonna try to get some sleep.
Drink some coffee, try to stay awake.
Seen in 56 countries across 5 time zones, you're watching the award-winning AFN Evening News. Real people, real news.
Thanks for sticking with us. New information about the rampant rise in childhood obesity. It's a hefty problem causing growing concern among healthcare workers. Tonight, we begin an in-depth series on childhood obesity. In part 1, Michelle Michael gives us our first look at America's expanding waistline and the very first steps some kids are making to shed those extra pounds.
Childhood obesity is weighing on the minds of medical workers and parents alike. The latest numbers show at least 1 in 5 children are overweight, and those numbers are expanding faster than anyone can count. Over the past 2 decades, the number of children labeled extremely overweight has doubled. Tonight, we introduce you to one family working to shrink those swelling statistics.
Right, left, right, left, right, left.
Thomas and Dylan Lynch admit they could lose a few pounds. They know there's more to weight loss than just exercise.
If you don't know the problem, you can't change the problem.
The problem, according to health experts, is that 25% of kids are in worse shape than Thomas and Dylan.
Because on the news it says 1/4 of America's children are obese.
And not enough kids are joining the fight against fat.
They're treated so poorly by other children.
Beth Hogue is a social worker in child and adolescent psychiatry. What does it mean to a child to be obese or overweight?
They get picked on. They get picked on a lot. They're made fun of, you know, people call them names. The typical names, I think, even from when I was little, you know, hey fatty, and, you know, you can't get on the swing set, you'll break it, you know, or nobody will pick them for a team.
Maureen Hewsome, Thomas and Dylan's mother, knows the name game all too well.
They're mean, and like my son, I'm always putting him in sports, and he's usually not the best because he's overweight, but he still needs to do sports. And some of the kids will make fun of him on the team. I mean, it's hard as a parent to sit back and hear people calling your kids names.
Every year, we're getting fatter.
Joyce Patrick helped create a 10-week program for families called Operation Fit Kids, Pediatric Health Intervention Team. It's a team that would welcome Thomas and Dylan any day.
It's not just the kids. It's America is getting huge.
So is the size of this new intensive support program. It's aimed not just at children, but at families and their health habits, like eating, for example.
It's kind of like a team effort.
Thomas is the quiet one on the team.
I'm usually quiet.
We asked him what he doesn't eat now that this new program has taught him about healthy choices, As usual, well, he was a little quiet.
Dawn, what do I don't eat now?
Well, you don't eat, like, all the cereals you used to eat.
That's because Mom doesn't let me get them anymore.
This is the best thing I've done with my kids.
Maureen says her two sons are making healthier choices since joining FIT.
My kids are overweight. I mean, I knew they were overweight, but, you know, as a mother, you kind of think, oh, they'll outgrow it.
And she says without the program, the number on the scale would grow too.
FIT can't fix it all. When we look at it, though, from all those perspectives and do what we can where we are, then we are making, we hope, some a dent in the problem.
Talking about childhood obesity isn't something easy to do, so by sharing their stories with us, Thomas and Dylan hope they inspire others to join programs like FIT. The FIT program is open to anyone interested. If you would like more information, here's the number to call: 06371 86 8614 or DSN 486 8614. We want to point out the program is all throughout Europe, not just at Landstuhl. Again, you can get more information by calling the number on your screen. Tomorrow night, we take a look at the dangers of childhood obesity. In Mannheim, Michelle Michael, AFN News.
Thanks, Michelle. There's also a new support group starting April 7th at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center. The group will deal with weighty issues and how to prevent the problem of obesity. Again, the number to call for information is there on your screen: 0637 1868614 or DSN 486 8614. If you're still wondering what obesity is exactly, this might help you. Obesity means that you have an excessive accumulation of body fat. So if your total body weight is more than 25% fat for boys and more than 32% fat for girls, then a doctor might say that you are obese. A trained technician can also obtain skin fold measures to determine the amount of body fat you have. You can get this done at your local clinic. There's a concern that technology could be adding fuel to the fire when it comes to overweight children. We spoke with a registered dietitian at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany. The question: could video games be turning kids into couch potatoes? Or is it something else to blame? Here's Heidi Kaufman.
There's so many things that are competing for physical activity: the video games, the computer games, the TVs. And yes, I find it very, very difficult to get my child to leave the TV and the computer.
Kaufman says another way to prevent obesity is to plan family meals. She says eating healthy as a group can be easier than going at it alone. And we just want to give you a quick heads up to all you sports fans out there that you can catch the 2005 Army Air Force Basketball Championship on AFN Sports tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. That's both the women's and the men's games, beginning at 7 a.m. on AFN Sports. It's time for some of our affiliates to switch to local programming, but for those of you sticking around, we'll take you to Ramstein, Germany, where elementary students are gaining buddies to help ease some of the stress of deployments. Plus, they're communicating before they can talk.
The most popular sign is airplane.
Those toddlers are talking up a storm, but they're not saying a single word. That story and more straight ahead on AFN.
Our Air Force loses too many valuable members every year to both suicide and preventable accidents. You and I need to change that. Whether at work or at home, we must continue to look out for each other's physical and mental well-being. There's no substitute for airmen looking out for their fellow wingmen to help prevent needless losses. Be Safety Airmen, committed to mishap prevention.
Get out and see the world, but don't spend the world doing it. Visit ITT. It's your golden ticket. Stop in at your information, tickets, and travel office, and they'll hook you up with the trip of a lifetime.
Taking on a 3-year assignment as an IG was an opportunity for my wife and I to remain a part of these great communities and continue to stay overseas in Europe, taking full advantage of living in Europe and all it has to offer.
Kaiserslautern military community is getting involved with Ramstein High School and elementary students that need a little extra attention while their family members are deployed. Airman Lana Mills tells us how the Deployment Buddies program is giving those students something to smile about.
The Deployment Buddies program is a community-wide effort to help high school and elementary students help each other cope while their parents are downrange. High schoolers meet with elementary students once a month to be there for each other during these hard times.
They meet with someone who's gone through this experience and they understand this whole process of having mommy and daddy away.
The school also invites parents to participate.
I think it's important to my son because it's a family thing. We like to stay family-oriented, do things as a family together. I think it's important to my wife so that she doesn't have to worry about her family, then she can concentrate on her mission.
Students play games, have snacks, and there's always new activities.
The kids love it. They always ask me in the hallways, you know, when are we going to go to deployment group and when's our next group? They love it. They have a fun time.
The Deployment Buddies program lets the students know that they're not alone and the community is behind them. Reporting from Ramstein Air Base, Germany, I'm Lana Mills, AFN News.
Children as young as 7 months are learning how to talk with their hands. Airman First Class Christy Byers reports on the new sign language program at the Bitburg, Germany Child Development Center.
It's taken 2 years to bring this level of learning to the Eifel, and at 1 month into implementation, the results speak volumes.
It's an easy way for them to communicate. They may not be able to vocalize it in words. In an instance like this, you know, he's crying, and it would be good for him to be able to say, you know, I heard.
There's some evidence that it can be an asset in terms of reading and school performance in the elementary grade. So we see lots of benefits besides the reduced frustration for toddlers.
Even the kitchen staff, desk staff, and managers receive training so that the kids get exposed to sign language throughout their environment.
Sometimes people are concerned that if we introduce sign with non-hearing impaired children, that it may delay their language. But what we now know on the basis of about 20 years of research is that not only does that not happen, they're looking at actually some accelerated verbal language for babies who've been using sign.
Say thank you.
The most popular sign is airplane.
Maybe some of them will cross into the blue when they grow up. Airman First Class Christy Byers, AFN News, Spangdahlem Air Base, Germany.
What do 10 pins and emergency relief have in common? Specialist Patrick Michaud helps us figure out the connection.
Army Emergency Relief collects money from soldiers to help soldiers in need. So why the bowling alley?
We are having the AER kickoff. We invited all the soldiers to come on out and have a good time bowling because we want to get soldiers excited about giving for AER.
An emergency can take many forms. Bolden clears up what exactly AER covers.
Maintenance of your vehicle. If your vehicle breaks down for you or your spouse, it covers family emergencies that happen maybe back in the States. If the soldier gets a no-pay due, if the soldier doesn't have enough money for basic essentials, AER is there for the soldier.
To contribute to Army Emergency Relief, speak with your unit representative. Specialist Patrick Michaud, AFN News.
Some of our affiliates will now take over with their own programming. For those of you sticking around with us, music really can make the people come together. A concert in Kaiserslautern, Germany, you won't want to miss. Stay with us.
Vacuum-packed meats are a unique part of the European commissary experience. But did you ever wonder what we do to make them look this way, or better yet, why? Let us show you. Each month, about 1 million pounds of fresh, top-quality American beef and German pork are processed into vacuum-packed patties, steaks, chops, and roasts at our central meat processing plant in Germany. Maintaining highly sanitary conditions and sealing in this sturdy, airless, leak-free package extends the shelf life enough that all but our most remote commissaries can make fresh, never-frozen meats available every day in a wide variety of choices. But if you need something other than one of the 120 different choices routinely offered, our professional butchers can handle that too. Just ask your store's meat manager about placing a special order. So why do we do it? Because for commissary patrons, only the best will do.
Students from various middle schools throughout Germany drove hundreds of miles to get together for something other than schoolwork. Airman Natalie Anderson tells us why.
The Kaiserslautern Middle School invited students from 7 schools, from Spangdahlem to Ramstein, for a district-wide band concert. Out of the 9 pieces, 12-year-old Ebony Strotter enjoyed the sound of On Broadway.
Yeah, it's fun because you get like all the high notes, they get the melody, you get the harmony.
125 students performed, each and every one of them playing a significant role.
I feel like I'm important because like we like the bass, so you know all the harmony stuff is us, and you can only hear us.
The concert gave the students a chance to come together and work as a team.
I thought it might be, you know, getting all these kids together thinking, oh, if we've had 6 different conductors with 6 different tempos and 6 different interpretations of the music, and we all got together and the kids just really came together, and it was so much fun to conduct them.
Not only did the students have a fun time, but the audience got a kick out of it as well. Reporting from Kaiserslautern, I'm Airman Natalie Anderson, AFN News.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow.